Yeah, g'day. Are you planning on buying a new four-wheel drive? Well, I thought about it, because I'm on retirement here, but new four-wheel drives are controlled by computer. I can't service the vehicles. Really, after the warranty is out, there's so many potential problems with the technology in them, I decided not to go that way. I decided to go back in time and buy something that I can work on, because I can work on stuff anyway, and I like working on vehicles. And I bought something prior to when computers came out. And when was that? Well, generally speaking, around the world, it was around about 1998 was when it all swapped over from like severe emission control really started in 1998. And so manufacturers went to computer control and even extended in the world of diesel, which had been sort of immune to it before then. So instead of buying a new vehicle, I bought a 1997, it turned out to be, Toyota Landcruiser an 80 series, which as you can see is in absolutely immaculate condition. I bought it from a school teacher, it's a one owner, low mileage. And why did I go back to this non-computer controlled Toyota Landcruiser? Well, come with me. Now here's the engine in the old girl. Now you'll notice this. The lady had actually just had the fuel pump reconditioned, and during the process they actually changed the standard Toyota fuel filter over to this Delphi combined fuel filter. Normally there's two fuel filters in these things, but this is a combined fuel filter which actually works more efficiently. This is what you normally use on boats to keep the water out of the fuel. And when they replaced the fuel injection pump, I got talking to the technician who did this, and he said they felt this was a superior system for filtration. But this is a mechanical injection pump, and there are the injectors, which are basically just a hole. It's a nozzle. Injector sleeve seal problems and all that sort of stuff, you don't get it on this vehicle. It's got a little combustion cylinder called a pre-combustion cylinder on one side. The injector doesn't even fire into the main combustion chamber. I can actually run this vehicle on pretty well any kind of fuel, vegetable oils and all that sort of stuff if I ever want to. So I'm ready for the zombie attack, the zombie invasion or whatever they call it. So what's it like to drive? Well, what's your expectations in a vehicle? That engine is a six-cylinder 4.2 litre naturally aspirated diesel with mechanical injection, and it produces 130 horsepower. It is actually the same engine as you get in a Toyota Coaster bus. So how do you think it drives? It's not a fast vehicle, but it trundles along quite nicely. On the highway, I can overtake people at 110 kilometres an hour or 70 miles an hour if you're in Imperial quite easily. It's got 5-speed gearbox, all that sort of stuff. It's more than adequately powerful for what you need. Off-road, you've got gearing. This thing goes through sand, up hills, and it's absolutely great off-road. It comes standard, well, this was opted with twin batteries, twin fuel tanks, pretty well all that kind of stuff, heavy-duty tow package in it and all that jazz, it all comes standard with the vehicle. So how long will this vehicle last, even though it's now 20 years old, actually coming on to 21 years old in the middle of this year? How long will it last compared to a new vehicle? Well, this one's done about 250,000 kilometres. I've got a mate who bought his 15 years ago, and he's a roofing contractor. He goes all around Australia, out bush and all that sort of stuff in it. And it's his daily driver, it still is. And he's done 1.2 million kilometres in his, which is also the naturally aspirated version. That's why I wanted this one. I searched a long time for this one. Now, you can get in this particular year, 97, 98, actually earlier too, you can get the 24 valve overhead cam turbocharged variant, which is about 165 horsepower, I think, which is a lot peppier to drive and which is very popular in this area. But I notice in this area that the turbochargers start going when you get to about 500,000 kilometres. And my good mate Werner, who's just sold up his farm for about $9 million, when he saw me buy this, he went and bought a 24 valve turbocharged version of this, which was also in fantastic condition, but immediately had to have the head taken off, have new valves put in it, and replace the turbocharger. So he's got more power, but then you know everything you got to pay. There's no such thing as a free lunch, you know. So and yeah, I have got a new badge for the back of it. Yeah, that was the only thing that was missing. So I've had it for a year. Oh no, I can't remember now. More than a year. So what kind of things have gone wrong with it? What have I had to do as far as maintenance is concerned? Well, I've done 2 oil changes and changed the filters. Other than that, maintenance-wise, I had to buy, on the power steering, it developed a fault. Aha, you say. That rubber gasket there, that one there, I'm trying to point here, that rubber gasket on the power steering cap, I bought a new one of those. But rather than buy the rubber gasket, I splashed out and spent $35 on a new genuine Toyota cap, you know. And that is the only thing that I've spent on maintenance on this vehicle in the last year and a half. Have I used it a lot? Yeah, we've been quite a few places and we've had some fun together. So, you know, look, with motor vehicles, it's a matter of your philosophy. Like you want the latest flash vehicle. To be honest, when I turn up, because this is in immaculate condition, I turn up anywhere in any country community, people come up and start talking to me because they've either had one and they love them, or they just look at it and say, that's got character, and it's going to get more and more like that as it gets older. I know that because the previous vehicle I had, I actually got it from my father. He actually sold it to me, wouldn't give it to me because I've got 3 brothers and it was a political decision on his part. Because he knew I'd maintain it. But that was a 1972 Chrysler by Chrysler, great big sedan car with 360 cubic inch V8. And of course my dad was a marine engineer and it was absolutely immaculate, and that's the way I kept it. And not long before we purchased this, I was actually driving down the main street and a guy from New Zealand came up behind me and flashed his lights at me, and I pulled over. I thought he was having a heart attack or something. And he's actually a scalper for a motoring museum in New Zealand, and he offered me $45,000 for it, which I turned down. This is the Chrysler, right? And we eventually negotiated a price higher than $45,000, and I sold it to him, and it's now sitting in a motoring museum in New Zealand. Why? Because everybody else doesn't maintain their vehicle. They get older, they get rarer, and if you buy something that's got character and was loved at the time, eventually it becomes collectible. So if you say one owner are in the same family for 35 years or 40 years or something or other, that makes it worth quite a bit of money, or can do if you choose wisely. So even from a accountant's point of view, not a bad decision. So there's an option for you. I mean, you know, don't know what your philosophy on life is. I know what mine is. I like to keep stuff. That's me. But as far as sustainability is concerned, I'm actually convinced that buying and selling cars and then they end up in the crusher after 5 or 10 years, and then manufacturing a whole new vehicle with more steel, more plastics and all that sort of stuff, I'm convinced that that is worse for the environment than simply keeping a vehicle well maintained and keeping it for life. You have your own opinion. I've done some sums and that's the way it works out to me. Anyway, here's an option for you. This is what I've done. We'll have our own thing. See you later.